he never smoked crack. The white boy is back, cause you know he's the white boy.
You remember Dave Cullen, right? Computing forever. At least that's what he calls himself, though he doesn't do much on computing anymore. Yeah, he's a tireless champion of free expression and personal liberty and all the rest of it, which is why I follow him and why, despite him being much more conservative than me, I agree with him on some key issues. Well, he's Irish, he lives in Ireland, and they've recently legalised gay marriage, and now they're looking into removing the control on abortion that goes on in that country. In case you didn't know, despite Ireland being a first world developed nation, they don't allow abortion. This is largely down to the historical influence of the Catholic Church over Ireland, and Dave thinks that's a good thing, thinks gay marriage is a bad thing, and yet, so far as I remember, he's not religious. So what did he have to say about the whole thing?
Oh, come on, shout me. You're let us hesitate or...
It's interesting to find out where people's limits are, and with Dave being such a strong proponent of free expression, even offensive expression that some people, and I would disagree with them, but they would call it harmful. It's interesting to see how that reverence for personal autonomy and decision making and freedom comes to an abrupt halt when it comes to marriage and when it comes to abortion. I mean, the only basis upon which preventing abortion is justified is if you can demonstrate harm. Same as with speech. And it should theoretically be easier. But the basis upon which the Irish ban on abortion has been set up and kept in place and so on is on the basis of Catholic beliefs, which have no basis in reality, and in a civilized country you don't get to impose your religious values on others. I'm sure Dave would agree with me that the imposition of Sharia law when it comes to our societies in the West should be banned, should not be allowed. Our governments should remain secular. So in order to ban abortion or to prevent gay people marrying, you're going to need a secular reason, and one that holds water. Gay people getting married doesn't pick your pocket, it doesn't do you any harm, doesn't do you any damage, it creates more stable relationships that allows people who are in love with each other to make commitments, gives them access to everything that standard normal married couples have. There's no reason to hold that back from anyone. It doesn't undermine society, it doesn't devalue your marriage. No one's saying that you have to marry someone of the same sex. So what's the problem? There's, the rest of the world has allowed this, hasn't collapsed in on itself in the meantime. So where's the cost? It all seems to be benefit to me, other than a few people are upset, and you don't have a right to not be offended. When it comes to abortion, you're going to need to demonstrate harm to an actual human being. A fetus, a blastocyst, a fertilized egg is not yet a human being. It has the potential to become a human being. The apparatus to even feel pain isn't there until fairly late in pregnancy. And consciousness, the thing, the defining thing that makes us human, that makes us individuals, that makes us experiencing, self-modifying, developing, growing, aware people, the thing that makes us people, doesn't happen until well after the 20th week. At around the 20th week, I think it's as late as 24 weeks, but I'm erring on the side of caution here. That's when the parts of the brain necessary for consciousness begin to fitfully fire up, at least as best we can tell using encephalographs and pregnant people in MRI machines and so on. And it doesn't activate fully and synchronously until around the 27th week. Obviously this varies from case to case. Until there's consciousness, nothing is really being lost, and all you're doing is impinging on the autonomy and freedom of a man and a woman, primarily the woman, who don't necessarily want a child. You're having a child brought into the world that isn't wanted, is more likely to have a harder time in life, is more likely to be criminal, is more likely to cause broader societal problems. Why not just let them wait until they want children, until they feel capable of having children? Why enforce this? And if you don't want to have an abortion, you don't have to. Yeah, and it doesn't just affect the woman. There's a reason I mentioned the man, which is unconventional and probably ruffled a few feathers. But men are on the hook when a woman gets pregnant and entirely subject to her whims, whether they want a child or not. At least with the option of an abortion, some people get a way out. There's just no secular, scientific, logical, reasonable, societal reason to deny people this, especially when your ideology is supposedly more on the libertarian side of personal autonomy, personal liberty. You can live as traditional a life as you want, but you shouldn't get to impose that on others without demonstrating harm. And without consciousness, nobody is being harmed. So sort it out, mate. Zang. A problem for every games master has always been coming up with adventure ideas. For years now, Postmortem Studios has been helping out with the 100 Adventure Seeds line. These provide adventure ideas for all genres, and you can get them at RPG Now or Lulu.com.